What's up, everyone? I am Jarrell Brown, also known as Bobby Jarrell. So right now, I'm here once again to have a conversation with one of the presenters that will be presenting at the Black Women in Behavior Analysis Appreciation Day conference that will be held on February 21st and 22nd in Florida, Orlando, Florida. So if you have not registered, please go online and register at BWIBAAD.org. And you can also use promotional code Bobby Jarrell 40% off to get, or 40 off to get 40% off of the cost of registration. So right now I will be talking to Dr. Danica Moise about the topic that she will be presenting on at the conference on February 21st and 22nd. So Dr. Moise, how are you doing today?
I am good, and please just call me Danica. We are a family. We fam.
Like the conversation we just had right before is like this about to be a good conversation in my opinion.
Yeah, we're all fam.
All right, so how are you doing today? How's your holiday been going so far?
I'm good. Honestly, I really took the holiday time to just kind of like reset. Little
Mm-hmm.
plug. Actually went to Ghana. I did a little dirty December. So it was a great one. Then I came back and relaxed, and now I'm ready to start the new year.
So what did you do in Ghana?
I went to have fun, but I also get to went to what they call the slave dungeons now, where our ancestors were. I got to learn more about Ghanaian culture, eat the food, go to the nightlife, just all the things. So it was good.
Nice, I love that. Where did you go, like with a group of people or by yourself?
Yeah, I went with a group of people. It was one of those like travel groups for Black professionals. So I went with them, and I that was like my graduation gift to myself. I
Okay,
kind of wanted to go back to the motherland and just experience that. So it was good. I loved
nice.
it.
I would love to do that one day. Have you ever heard of ayahuasca?
The tea?
I think it's like I think it's a tea form, like when you go, but it's like a retreat type thing where
Yes,
you drink it and it's like the spiritual awakening and all of that. That's something that I would like love to do. So if your group ever goes somewhere where they do ayahuasca, let me know.
I will let you know. I got you.
All right, so we're talking about the conference that's coming up in Orlando, Florida, with Black Women in Behavior Analysis Appreciation Day, and so you will be one of the presenters. So the topic you'll be presenting on is increasing Black excellence in research. So
Mhm.
before we get to like your topic, tell me a little bit about your background in the field of ABA. Like, when did you start in the field of ABA, and how did you get into the field?
Yeah, I'll do it quickly, but my story actually started when I was about 4 or 5 years old. So I'm a daughter of immigrant parents from Haiti, and I'm a first generation. And when I came here, I had a cousin. We're 1 month apart, and we were being raised, and we kind of noticed there were something was different, something was off, and we didn't really know what it was. And something that I realized in my culture was that, when you can't explain, you don't know, then it's demonic, demon possessed,
Right.
it's all these things. So we didn't really know how to help him. And I just
Mm-hmm.
telling myself I wanted to become a doctor so I could help. His name was, we call him Kiki. I was like, so we can help Kiki. And
Mm-hmm.
as I got older, and I think he got diagnosed at like 15. By the
Well,
time I figured it out, a lot of it was just not wanting to do the work, honestly. But by the time he got diagnosed and I understood what autism meant, I said, okay, that's what I want to do. So I started in college at 2009 at University of Central Florida. I actually got my bachelor's in speech therapy.
okay.
After that, I started in speech, and I realized in the clinic I did not know what I was doing with the kids because I could not get their attention. There were so many behaviors going on. And what I would say is we did the best that we could. And I just
Right.
remember thinking, what else could I do? So I thought about getting my master's in special education. And while I was working at a summer camp for kids with special needs, I ran into a BCBA helping one of the kids at the summer camp and literally changed my life. She told me all about ABA, opened me up to it. So I'm midway through my master's program. And the good thing about the field about ABA, you can just add on courses. So I did like a
Mm-hmm.
sequence at Florida Institute of Technology virtually.
Mm-hmm.
I became a ABA first and a BCBA in 2019. And yeah, it was on and popping from then. I was typically doing more home therapy, working with kids with special needs, and I loved it. And then the pandemic happened. But overall, like I just loved what I did. I loved working with families. I loved being able to just get into the nitty gritty. And I was able to combine like my speech, special education, and ABA background to really give these parents a comprehensive approach. And then on top of that, not only being Black, but also Haitian, I was able to translate and kind of help a lot of Haitian families understand what autism is and break down ABA into words they could understand. Because let's be real,
Mhm.
you can't really translate ABA into other languages. It's hard.
Right.
It's just ABA. So I had to found a way, and I realized like with knowledge and understanding
Mhm.
patients, a lot of these families were like, "Oh wow, this makes sense. Okay,
Right.
I'll get your kid diagnosed."
Right.
So, yeah, my journey started there.
And see what I love about that, because I don't know if you know Jareen Francis. She's going to be presenting at the conference also. So I did the interview with her the other week, and so she also was a BCABA. I was a BCABA. I have a friend of mine who she's still currently a BCABA, but she's like she gets mad when people don't mention BCABAs, and so it's like I feel like for me coming up in the field, I started in 2012 before the RBT came around. So I was just a BT, became an RBT, then eventually BCABA, then a BCBA. So it's like coming through the ranks. It was like I feel like it taught me more how to be humble, how to
I agree.
because there's some RBTs now that have never been punched in the face, never been bit before. It's like when you've been in the field for a while and you've been through so much, it's like you appreciate the work that we do 10 times more. So
Hmm.
and I just want to say that for all the BCABAs out there watching, we appreciate y'all. We want
Yes, BCABA
that.
love.
Right. So let me ask you this. So what made you want to do your PhD and in ABA?
So really, it is actually in special education. I did a
Okay.
concentration ABA, but it's truly in special education. And I have my real answer and I have my polished professional answer. I'm gonna give you a
Okay.
real answer. The pandemic hit, I was like, I'm never going to work again because we can't go to these homes.
Right.
Brain went to like, how am I going to make money? I'm going to be poor because I was a contractor. So my hours were cut drastically, my income
Okay.
in half. And I was like, okay, what else can I do? And I remember there was so many Facebook groups at the time for before Baba was Baba, the Black
Uh-huh.
Baby Analyst. There's so many like groups and people were just talking about like getting our PhDs or just doing other things. And someone posted a flyer for UCF, which is my alma mater, that they were looking for PhD candidates. So I literally reached out to one of the people on the flyer and I told them about my background. And I literally said, I don't know what getting a PhD means, but
Hmm.
I'm interested in it. And the rest was history. And I think for
Okay.
so, my professional answer, marrying it in, was I wanted to learn the other end of it. I felt like as a practitioner, I was like, okay, I've been a practitioner. I want to know what it's like to be a researcher. I want to know what it's like to teach. I want to know what it's like to be an adjunct professor. So I guess that's what getting a PhD entails.
All
It's,
right.
it's so much more. But that's what I thought. I was like, okay, well, I want to teach people, and I want to like learn how to do research, I guess, because I was just reading Java articles. So
Right.
and like I want to write a Java article. Haven't done one yet. It's harder than I thought. But that's literally how it started. It was just me being like, what else can I do
Right.
if I never get to work again? My bills are due.
Right.
So, I said, let me get another stream of income. Let me just go get a PhD. Like it's an easy thing, but my mind was blown open that I learned so much. And I remember I always tell people I'm really big on like, as you're climbing, bring people with you. Like serve
Right.
horizontally, serve before, ahead of you, behind you, whatever. So I was like, when I finished, I said, everything that I learned, I want to find a way to give everyone those resources and make sure I'm not gatekeeping and make sure, especially people who look like me, if you want a PhD, I didn't even know you can get them for free. Granted, you have to do a lot of service, but there's
Hmm.
so many free grants out there, and I didn't
Right.
pay a penny for my doctoral degree.
Nice. And I think that that's the like for me. I don't have the issue as far as like financially because like I was in the military and the army
Mhm.
and the government pays for my school, thankfully. But I think that that's one of the biggest hurdles for a lot of people. Is like, oh, I can't afford it, or it's like, oh, when I have the debt that I'm going to get into to go do this. So I think like that's something that's very important for a lot of people to know, especially like Black people. That's like, hey, you can do these things. Do you ever feel like, and I guess like kind of going into your topic for the increasing Black excellence in research, do you feel like a lot of that information is kind of being like there's a gatekeeper that's keeping a lot of that information? Like
Yes, and I tell people, I say to this day, I'll say her name to the heavens. Her name is Dr. Rebecca Hines. I also worked alongside Dr. Lisa Deeker. They were white women, but they were so intentional about increasing diversity and
nice.
so intentional in looking for scholars. And I will say, it was in the wake of George Floyd, right after George Floyd. Everyone was like, DEI, give more money to these communities. And it was almost like they were being incentivized for finding us. It
Mm-hmm.
played a part too. And now we can see things switch. Now, 5 years later, everybody's pulling back these DEI campaigns, right? So
Right, right,
was also a big part of it for me. And they were looking for diversity because I tell people the numbers. Not only do 2% of people have a PhD, within that 2%, only 3% are Black women. So
right,
we're not even there. We're not even part of the conversation. We're not at the, because I didn't realize, like when you think about the curriculums where we're learning, if you're thinking about the research that we're reading, if you're thinking about the evidence-based practices we're giving to our clients, someone has to come up with it. It's the people
right,
at the top. And there are no Black people, no Black women, no Black men. Our cultural backgrounds aren't even being included in the assessments that we're giving to our babies.
right, right.
So it's like, okay, well, how do we infiltrate it? Like, how do we learn? And you can kind of see that me and, I always shout them out too. I met some dynamic Black women. We were shaking the table up. We were having
Right,
uncomfortable conversations, and our mentors were willing to have them, but some people aren't. So sometimes it's just easier to be like, and
right,
we don't even know I didn't even know how to apply. So
right,
that's a big thing too. People are always saying like, I don't even know how to apply, and you can't really find the information. And I don't care what people say. So many people in my program were like connections. Their daddy knew someone. Their
mhm,
uncle was a chairman for the university. His
right,
great grandfather gave $1 million donation, so they look out for this family for years. So don't let these people tell you otherwise. Some
right.
people did not earn that seat at the table. So you get yourself there. That's why I hate when people say imposter syndrome. I was like, listen, there's so many people at this table that I would I could rip away. But since I can't,
Right,
I'm gonna bring more people so we can
right,
diversify this
right.
table.
Like I had a conversation with Jerron Trotman, who's the CEO for Black Men in Behavior Analysis. And
Yes, he does
so,
Beyond the Science podcast.
yes, he does
Okay.
podcast. They just started a couple of months ago. So we had a conversation. This was maybe over a year or so ago. We on my podcast, a little too honest, a little plug. Um, so in that one, we talked basically about being a Black male in the field of ABA. So for me, I've been in the field since 2012. And it wasn't until, what year are we in? 25 now. So it wasn't until 2023 that I actually met a Black male BCBA in person. Like I've seen, it was like a television show, and you're like, oh, look at that character. I know that character on that television show. I know they're not real. Somebody's playing that character. But it's like until I actually meet somebody in person, it was like, oh, you're real. like I'm not the anomaly. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like if I feel like even with getting the PhD, it's like taking a step back and saying, okay, like, hey, more Black women, because like there's more Black women in ABA as BCBAs and more than males, but it's like, hey, Black guys, like, hey, like there's room for us in this field, and it's great to see organizations like this that Kelly has started with Black women in behavior analysis appreciation day, BABA, Black men in behavior analysis, and like so it's like this representation I feel is so needed because like you say like that like with the gatekeeping like I was in and I don't know if anybody that was in my cohort when I was in my master's program will see this, but I was a BC ABA while doing my master's because I did my coursework for BC ABA through FIT first. And so then I did my master's through Sam Houston. But there were a lot of people that were in my master's program that had been in the field for like a couple of months before starting their master's. And I was just like, yeah, I don't know how this is going to work because if I, and I say this because I feel like I want newer BCBAs to take what I'm saying and actually like let it sink in. If we have a 25, 26-year-old white female or a white male that are fresh out of school and no life experience, but yet we're thankfully seeing that the population of the clients that we're working with, like the Black population, is increasing. More families are believing that it can work and it's not just they bad. So it's like when you have these people that are fresh out of school, no life experience, and they have a Black kid that's in front of them, and they don't understand like the cultural aspects that go into working with some of these kids. And that's where we see like the progress isn't being made. And I want hopefully for those people that are new, that are of other races, that they're actually taking the time to be able to read the research and be able to actually, implement things that are going to benefit this client for who they are and not for what you want them to be based off of the research that has been created thus far. So now that kind of takes my segue into increasing Black excellence. So and I feel that in order for those newer BCBAs that are not of, African descent or anything like that, we need that Black representation. So right now, I know you said that it's like doing Java is hard. So what are some of the things that you think can be done so that more Black excellence can be done in the research? Like what's the first step that you would say needs to be done?
Honestly, one thing as well is I think as a culture and a community, we need to just be educated and informed of what all of our options are, right? I didn't even know that we had all these options. So I feel like as we speak about it, and I tell people, if you're working with a kid with special needs, I'm not saying you have to become a BCBA. You can go anywhere, you can go get your PsyD, but we don't even know what our options are. And that's why representation matters, because when you see someone there, and I didn't see it this way, but as I've continued my profession, people be like, oh my God, Danica, you have a PhD and you're Black one. I guess I could do it too. That enough was just like, oh, that's cool. So a lot of it to me is mentorship and exposure. So it's showing people, and I hate social media, but I need to utilize it more, and showing people what does it look like to put in a presentation at a conference? How do I put in a research proposal? You don't have to be a doc student. How do I put together a poster presentation to share? How do I, that's just the baby steps. And then there, my goal is, as I'm working on more publications, every time I publish, I need 2 mentees behind my name. So now they got publications on their names before they even start program. So, and it doesn't hurt no one. You can have 6 on an article, no one cares. I told myself, anytime I publish, there has to be 2 mentees behind my name. Anytime I'm doing a presentation that I can, that I can do that, I'm going to add them to it, because that's literally how we're going to start teaching people. Honestly, I told myself when I present at BWIBAAD, I need to record myself and show people like the process, because some people are so scared to like, well, how do you even do this? I was like, you can. Being an adjunct professor, some people are such great teachers. So I'm like, you don't even have to go all the way for a PhD. But those are the little things that you can do in research to disseminate. Because I told them, for example, when we think about like cultural barriers and bias, people throw around the racist word, and the first, I'm not racist, I'm not racist. Yeah, but you are biased, you microaggressions, and you need to be educated. But it's okay, we all have our biases. I do too. Like if I see 3 doctors and there's a Black lady, I'm going to my sis.
What's up?
That's a bias. Like there is. But the difference is when it comes to your clientele, it's like, oh, okay, like, there's a Black boy. There's even research studies on it. They have done studies that show that teachers, they've used like AI glasses or whatever. They always look at the Black kids more. They're always assuming they're going to get in trouble. So then you kind of like perpetuate it, and it happens. So it's teaching them. Even for me, I always tell this story. When I started, I had an Indian family, and realizing that they wanted their child to eat with their hands. Cool, got it. But I came in like, all right, let's get this fork. We got to eat like this. No, that's their culture. Take the time to learn it. And I think, honestly, a lot of white people suffer from like, that complex of like, what I say is right. But as a Black woman, I'm always willing to learn. I'm not saying all, but that's what I saw. Or you walk into a home, they leave their shoes by a door. An Asian family, don't you dare walk your dirty feet in. But then, he needs to walk to his room and put it on the little shoe. No, that's not their culture. That's not what they want. We have to show them, and we have to be represented more, because it's so hard to say. We're talking about it, but it's not in research. It's not in presentations. It's not in curriculums for courses. Like, just think about what kids are learning. Now it's getting better, but there were no type of like, I mean, we had an ethics course, but there was nothing about like culture or any type of class while I was getting my ABA that taught me these different things, how to look out, how to check my own bias, how to check my prejudice. So I was like, we just got to get in there and get because the thing about our field, we love us some research. The first thing they go say is like, well, show me an article.
What the research say? What the research
say? Which is true. So now there is research to pull. It's awesome. But back in 2016, it was like finding a needle in a haystack to find an article that just talked about that, just culture. But we've come a long way, and I always say this. I never say that. We're a baby field. We've come a long way, but we got a long way to go.
Even with that, like when I think about, because I've been in the field so long, it's like ABA is second nature to us after a while,
Yeah.
right? Like everything, like we have to stop like, oh, that's an SD. Like that's an S Delta. You can't go because the light is green. And it's like, it's like I'm baffled when I meet someone new and I tell them what I do and they're like, oh, I've never heard of ABA. And I'm like you would think, but like, I guess because we're so submerged in it that we think the world around knows, but it's like, there's so many people that don't know. And I like, even when I'm working with like some of my staff at work, there are times where I'm talking to some certain staff, and it's just like, you would be so great if you would like apply yourself and like take that long haul to become a BCBA or do a PhD. But I think it's like over the last couple of years, I feel like some people have lost a lot of passion for the field, especially like I would say, like for me as a black man, being in the field surrounded by a group of people who didn't earn their seat. You know, like some people, you know, they just you've been with the company long enough and you look a certain way. So it's like, oh, we're gonna promote you. And having to deal with that is like it's like internally it just becomes so draining. And for me right now, having this conversation with you is very enlightening for me because like I've thought about doing the PhD route. And I kept on saying, like, if I do my PhD, I'm not going to do it in ABA. But like knowing that there are other things that are related to the field that's like, you know, like for you, that was eye opening. That kind of makes me take a step back and say, like, maybe I could do the PhD route with ABA or in a special education with a concentration.
And that's what I want to tell people because I always say that, you know, I will also be real. A lot of behavior analysts can be a bit of zealots. You know, where some can feel like they're all knowing, and what I say is yes. So in a multidisciplinary team, which I experienced a lot in my doctoral program, a lot of people are like, oh, you're a cool BCBA. Oh, wow, I could work with you. I could collaborate. And then I always say, tell me why you say that. And they'll tell me these stories. And I was like, I can see that. Like, you know, SLP and a BCBA fighting over if he's going to do a mand or, you know, their version or which one do you teach first. So I can see that. And I always tell people at the end of the day, there's more than one way to skin a cat. It's all about the client. Like, is the client of our interventions, and then we work together. But then after that, it's like there's so much. I've been pushing girls like you can get your PsyD, you can get an EDS, you can get, you know, you can get a doctoral degree in ABA or special education or you can blow all that out the park and you can do like organizational management and OEM, and you could just learn how to marry the fields together. Because what I told people is what I didn't know, and this is what the things I want to share is you make your research what you want it to be. There's so many layers and intersections between like behavior and speech, behavior and psychology, behavior and business, behavior and whatever. So you build your dissertation topic to be what you want. My committee was so diverse, and I put these puzzle pieces together to make it exactly what I wanted it to be.
Right.
I told him, I was like, my PhD had absolutely nothing to do with special education teacher at all. But what I did learn is how to do special education research and policy, and that made me a stronger practitioner. So I told people, I was like, you don't get your PhD to be a better practitioner at all. I didn't become a better BCB in any way because I didn't learn therapy. I learned all the other things. And that degree I learned has so much power in our field. Some fields you don't need a doctoral degree. But in other fields like this one, I was like, there's a lot of power in this. And I was like, okay, let me get some more power and learn how to make seats at the table. Like I even learned how to advocate for like making like who's on this committee for giving out scholarships, who's looking at the diversity numbers, where are we even marketing these if you're just marketing it at UCF with the same white kids, well, of course, you know, black kids go apply. Take them same things, go to an HBCU, go to Bethune-Cookman, 1 hour away, go to their master's program. Put it on a website for FAMU. These are the kids who really, really don't even know it's an option. And I keep telling people, we're not saying, oh, no more white kids or no more. What we're saying is diversify the pie. It's a percentage. It's not a number. It's a percentage. So we're just increase more black people. And of course, I always say, like, I'm always going to go hard for my black people. But I'm not saying Hispanics or someone who's an Indian or someone who's Pacific Islander, they all matter. But for me and my background, I'm always going to be pushing the black people to the table and asking those questions. What are we doing to even market and let them know that they can apply for the scholarship?
You know, like even within the center that I work at, it's direct care staff is like predominantly Black females, and so
Really quick though, but what are your what is the percentage of your BCBAs being Black females?
so here's the thing. So like before, right now it's three black BCBAs, myself, two Black females, and then our clinical director, she's a white female. And so before the three of us came, because like we all started. I started in September. One of them started like a week before me, and then the other one started maybe 2 months ago. And so like we're all new to the center, and so like there were times where having conversations about like certain staff or certain things that they said or how they said it. And so for me, it's like a cultural thing. It's like, oh, there was no disrespect behind what they said. It's how they said it. So it's like one of the things like we're teaching my staff is like, I want you to voice your opinion. I'm never going to tell you that, like, you can't tell me if you think a program isn't good or you think it's not making sense or the kid isn't making progress. I want you to come and tell me that. Now I want you to do it tactfully. And that's one of the things that I've been working with my staff is getting them to understand that I don't want them to change their culture, especially with me. If like it's a one-on-one, say what you want to say however you want to say it. At the end of the day, we're going to walk out this room. I'm going to go back to being your BCBA. You're going to be my staff. We're going to respect each other. But I want them to understand that it's okay. Like, it's okay to be yourself within your work field. It's just keeping it professional and within that boundary. But what the struggle is when you don't have someone that looks like you and they're telling you, nope, you can't talk to me that way. Nope, you can't tell me that I'm wrong. Nope, you can't tell me that this program isn't making sense. And that's where we become stifled. And that's where we lose that Black excellence. And it's like, for me, I want to be able to wherever I go in my career at the next step, whatever it may be, I want to be able to create more environments so where people can show up their authentic self. Because if you're showing up as who you are, then that means you're going to do 110% of the work because you feel comfortable, you feel confident that you can come to your supervisor and talk to your supervisor. So with that being said, let me ask you this. Right now, where you are in, like, because are you currently working on research or did you just do the research for your dissertation?
So, literally, I just started being an adult now. After I graduated science, I was playing a little bit, but now I'm ready to be an adult. So I'm actually doing a postdoc, which is like basically, okay, it's almost like I call it a residency for doctors. So before I become a faculty, like a full-time professor, after I graduate, it's like this 1 or 2 years in between. I'm still deciding 100% what I want to do, but I am a postdoctoral scholar at the University of Central Florida.
Okay.
I'm an adjunct professor teaching courses there. And I'm learning how to do contract work so I moved back home to Miami and just kind of contracting with people. It's crazy. Everyone I used to work with got a company. So I'm learning how to provide trainings for their staff. I'm learning how to do workshops for their BCBAs. I'm learning how to market myself in that sense. I'm kind of playing with that now. And I think too, I want people to know that being a BCBA, I'm so big on like, you can find a way to make multiple streams of income. You can market yourself multiple ways. It's not just, I'm a BCBA, I have 10 clients, I have 15 RBTs, that's it. There's so much more that we can do.
And I think like that's a beautiful thing because it's like there are me coming into the field, like I have, like we talked before about like the other things that I do in my life. So it's like that keeps me grounded and that keeps me going. But I feel like if I was just had that tunnel vision on and it was just like, oh, I'm just a BCBA, I'm going to work and I'm doing my job, I will be burnt the hell out. Because it's like people don't understand.
I love what I do. Don't get me wrong. I love my babies, but by Thursday I'd be like, Jesus help! Like I am tired. It's exhausting. It is exhausting work. And I tell people it doesn't mean that I don't love what I do, but it is exhausting. And let me be real, I'm not trying to be 50 years old rolling in the clinic with these kids. I can't do it. So I got to start thinking, okay, what's the next step? I can't do this at 62. If I'm not, I mean, I'll be retired, but let's say I'm 56. Nobody want a 56-year-old BCBA.
Right.
Not you.
And they keep you fit though. They'll keep you fit because like there's days like I be sitting on the floor Indian style and I gotta pop up real quick. Like in the moment I could do it, but afterwards I'm like, oh Lord, I pulled something.
Okay. Matter of fact, I messed up my back because when I also wasn't an RBT, I was just a behavior therapist. They called me. And I used to sit on the floor and play with the kids all the time. And after 2 years of that, I messed up my back.
I was
It
working
was
with
crazy.
like the early intervention kids, and so we had like the real low chairs. And for some reason, like not for some reason, but like sitting in the chairs with my knees bent the way that they were, like I had to wear a brace. Like I went to the doctor, I was like, I don't know what's going on with my knee, but it's popping. And I'm like every day, 8 hours a day, sitting around.
Nobody talks about that.
Oh
The
my
baby
god!
chairs, the baby tables, and then like the kids throw themselves down, so you have to pick them up in a way that
Yes,
they won't harm
yes,
themselves. You're bending, you're dropping, you're this, you're that. I get nurses because I'll be like, I get it because we're all over the place, and now it's like, okay, wait, this is my one body that God gave.
right,
I
right,
gotta take care of it. So I have to learn about posture. I have to do
yes,
spine exercises. I have to stretch because someday, and you get that one client, you like, oh, all right.
right. But it's like when you
All
go to work,
right.
like I'll be sitting in the office and I hear a certain kid, I'm like, like they're crying, they're screaming, know it's them.
Don't scream. Like,
Oh, like Lord Jesus, let me hurry up and go to this room.
yeah,
But
and we get up fast. I think all BCBS can get we get up so fast.
because it's like when I first started at the center that I'm at, like I was there for maybe like a week or two, and one of the kids was crying, and the operations manager was like, "Oh, that's such and such." I like you can tell just by the crying. Like after like working with them a little bit, I know the cries, I know their screams, I know all of it. But anyway, so
I love that.
so going back to like the
Yes.
conference, which will be February 21st and 22nd in Orlando, Florida, with Black Women in Behavior Analysis Appreciation Day. So we talked about it before, like increasing Black excellence in research. So right now, when do you think, like, what is your time frame for having your first article done and published?
So thankfully I was able to publish in my dog program. So I have
Okay,
the biggest thing is I'm trying to publish my dissertation research and by
okay,
what month are we in January? By April, I want them all out the door because it's still a process. Like by the time
right.
I submit it to it actually being published in a journal, if they want
Hmm.
it, do they want edits, feedback, all that, it could take up to a year. So my
Right,
goal is to get it out the door by the end of Q1 so that by top of 2026, I got 2 or 3 articles that way. I
nice,
also get a team of girls where we learn how to rotate first artist authorship, and I'll talk about that stuff at the conference too. So
nice,
what happens is my homegirl's publishing an article. That's her article, but I'm gonna just proofread and do some things. I'll
right,
get authorship on that too. So
hmm,
I'm not the first author, but it still counts. So
right,
yeah, my goal is by the end of next year to have about 6 articles out. Like
nice, nice,
published, add to my CV and go from there. And I'm just excited to see. I always tell people, I was like, I'm honestly like just seeing what's next. I'm not 100% sure, but this is my time to kind of experiment and see, like, okay, what's next? What do I want to do? I hold the cards and I realize I ain't gotta beg no more. People want me, so let's see who
right.
the
That
price
part.
went up. So
That exactly.
let's see who's paying the most, what makes the most sense. And actually who's Houston, so funny. Texas and DMV are top on my list. I'm going to both of those places this year to see
Nice.
which one I like more. Because everybody tell me Texas, you get a nice size house for the
You
price.
get a nice house, because like but like I have friends that live in like the DMV area. When he's telling me how much his rent is, I like, sir, I got a 2,400 square feet house that's less than your rent for a 1 bedroom apartment. But
Yeah.
hey, okay. But anyway,
Yes.
so okay, what the people, the audience that's watching right now, what's one thing that you want them to look forward to the most when it comes to your presentation at the conference?
I want them to walk away with them saying, okay, like, okay, I want to try this now. I
No,
want them to be inspired and I want them to push themselves to say, what one new thing can I add to my plate this year? Because I'm all about one, diversifying income and diversifying your knowledge, like not limiting yourself to one thing. So if I can get people to walk away and be like, dang, that was great. I'm going to try to do that this year. I've done my job.
nice, nice, nice. Love it. I love it. All right. So again, thank you so much. I know we had a few little hiccups with getting everything scheduled, but I appreciate you for taking the time. I enjoyed the conversation. I definitely look forward to hearing more about your topic at the actual conference. You might convince me to go on and do that PhD. I don't know.
Yes. As
I
soon as I
don't
see you,
know. We'll see. We'll
as
see.
soon as I see you, we family now. I'm just going to give you a big hug. Like, hey! Gonna be
All right,
great.
everyone. So go make sure you guys go to BWIBAAD BWIBAAD.org to register for the conference on February 21st and 22nd in Orlando, Florida. Use code BobbyJarrell40 off to get 40% off the cost of registration. Dr. Moise will be presenting on increasing Black excellence in research, which is something that we definitely need so that we can provide the best care that we can for our little kiddos of all races, but specifically, our kids, our little Black and brown babies, because there's not a lot of research that's tailored to them. So, I look forward to the conference. I look forward to your talk. Any last words before we wrap it up?
No, that's about it. Can't wait to see everyone. If you see me, come say hi. It's going to be a great time.
Where can our watchers find you, like on social media?
I just did this. So Danica.phd on everything. So Instagram, DANICA.phd, TikTok the same, YouTube the same. By the conference, I will have more content out there.
Nice. I love it. All right. Thank you so much for taking the time to interview with me. I definitely enjoyed it. Hopefully we can, do an episode on my podcast and we can get a little too honest about some stuff.
Let's do it.
So until then, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure y'all go to BWIBAAD.org to register for the conference. Please come out and support all of these amazing Black women who will be presenting at this conference. It's something that you guys do not want to miss. So we hope we'll see you guys there. So thank you.